Canton townies sing this song, doo-da, doo-da. Canton corruption all day long, oh doo-da day. Much like the Total Boy, Total Boy, Total Boy soundbite, I'm probably gonna play the Canton Townies jingle until you all beg me to stop. Wahahaha. Anyway, the topic for today's video is essentially how I plan to attack the Sandra Birchmore case, because to be perfectly honest, a lot of this is way over my head. So I'm going to have to defer much of the conversation to other creators who are experiencing a far less triggering time wrapping their heads around it. Later today, we're going to defer to the Broken Baker for a rundown on the arrest affidavit. I did download this affidavit with full intention of reading it out aloud to you all, but I couldn't even direct my brain through it privately alone, and I decided that we need some adult supervision here. I was, however, able to get through it by listening to Broken Baker read through the documents and break them down for us. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Denmark has a slightly different juror system to what we have in Australia, and I guess what you guys have in America and the UK and so on. And Baker is part of their juror system. So rather than being chosen from a couple of hundred jurors at the time of trial, like we do it over here, Denmark has, I guess you could say, permanently appointed jurors, and I think they rotate, but we can get more details about how that works when we've got him on the stream. So in a sense, we're still speaking with a legal commentator, just not a lawyer. Although I do have plans of inviting some lawyers to come and talk with us as well. Those plans are a little bit further down the track. Before that happens, I would like to invite Dr. Berry to come and speak with us about some of the more nuanced social aspects of the Sandra Birchmore case, because I didn't want to leave the last video topic hanging on, if you don't get it, then you probably need therapy. That was not my intention. And I think Dr. Berry can help us realign the message in a more professional manner. I've also lined up a registered nurse and a familiar face that you may all know, Miss Shorty, to talk about these social complexities that I tend to struggle with. Again, with the intention of educating people who don't necessarily understand where I was coming from with the last video. I want to just add here that a very healthy majority of you actually did understand where I was coming from, and that is very encouraging to see. But I'd also like to continue on the conversations on these topics, because I think the more we talk about them as a society, the healthier we become mentally as a society. And it's also helpful for me personally, because it's often topics like this where I feel more socially dyslexic. So in many ways it will be an educational learning curve for me as well. Outside of the Sandra Birchmore case, I would also like to continue paying attention to the Karen Read case, because as we all understand, they are inextricably linked, where many others would say that making any connections between them is conflation. Looking at you, Joel. It may just be because I am a software developer that when I see a series of inextricably linked patterns, I'm going to want to test those patterns a bit further before I write them off as conflation. But hey, I'm strictly science. I'm not trying to feed the media empire with information from sources who are close to the state or police departments that we're discussing at any given moment. I've already rubbed out some lines and redrawn them just to be productive on YouTube. So I don't plan on becoming beholden to a state or police department anytime soon. In fact, never. On the Karen Read front, as I've said before, Abby and I still have some experimentation to do on a range of media that was presented as evidence in court. So we will continue down that path in live streams as per usual, at least until Abby has bigger and better things to move on to. And that about wraps up immediate plans for the Aussie Insider YouTube channel. I know some of you would like us to cover other true crime cases, but I'm just not sure right now what I can fit into the schedule with the building stuff going on. All of this will become much more clear as I progress through the planning stages and finally get approval to do the building and so on, all the other fun stuff that goes with building. So we'll see what else I can fit in along the ways. I do have plans to cover the Sarah Boone case, because sometimes we just need to let our hair down and have a good laugh and not just be completely immersed in tragic, horrific cases all the time. Although the death of a boyfriend is tragic and horrific, I'm just predicting that she's going to be a barrel of laughs in much the same way as Robert Tallis has been a barrel of laughs. Speaking of Robert Tallis, I do plan to do a Lawyers React mashup, because now I know everyone's caught up with everything. And it'll just be the highlights. Might end up being 2 videos, because he was on the stand for quite some time, and because Abby requested it. Oh, one more thing, I almost forgot. I will be announcing on the live stream with Baker later today the winner of our Identify This Font challenge, so make sure you all tune in for that. And that's about it for now. Ciao!